What's poppin', fam? Welcome to Don't Touch My Mindset, a podcast that is designed to uplift, inspire, and motivate you, and most importantly, share tools to help you protect that mindset. Welcome back. Hello, I am your host, Jay Chase. Yo, I'm super excited to be here. Super excited that you guys have decided to spend a little bit of time with us on a Sunday. We are here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to bring you an amazing story to edify some leaders that are doing amazing things around the world. And this conversation that is up today, spirit-led, phenomenal leader. She's doing amazing things. Like, you'll hear it all in the conversation. I just wanted to let you guys know that grab your popcorn, grab some notes, grab your pens, grab your pads, and just rate, review, share with a friend if anything resonates. Give her a shout out, right, on Instagram, on social media. But first and foremost, follow the show if this is your first time here. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Always want to try and bring you pivotal moments on Sundays, stories from all around the world, from just different types of people, different types of leaders, just doing different things. And I think you're in for a treat on this one. We're in the States with this one, so we haven't traveled too far. But I want you guys to know that July 14th through July 16th, we will be in Canyon Lake, California, putting on the Amplify workshop, doing everything in our power to maximize your personal growth. We got 4 speakers coming out. We're kicking it. We're getting rowdy, and I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So please check the show notes for the link. If you want to support the show, check the show notes. I love you guys. Thank you for rocking with us. Now for pivotal moments. Super excited to be here. Welcome to the first episode of Pivotal Moments, season 5. And as you guys know, we are taking a little bit shift this season, and we're diving into the practical but not most commonly known practices of leadership and self-leadership and just personal growth and becoming a better person. And we're hearing from all types of different leaders, all types of different people of influence. We're hearing of how they have implemented principles, how they've learned from things that have happened in their life. You know, pivotal moments, how we always do it. But I'm super excited to introduce this guest to you. She's a leader in all areas of her life. You guys hear me talk about the 7 equities of leadership, whether that's mind, body, soul, intimate relationships, networking relationships, business, finance. A proven leader in all of those is well-rounded. And I believe one. I think I got one for you guys. Please, Carissa, will you introduce yourself to everybody who's listening, who's tapped in right now?
First of all, this is the first episode of your new season. I didn't know that. This feels like a birth that we need to honor right now. Congratulations. Yes. Oh, wow. Well, that's beautiful. What an honor it is to be here. Yeah, my name is Carissa Johnsen. I'm a life and leadership advisor. I'm a spiritual guide, and I'm just a human, another spirit and soul on this earthly plane that is really anchoring into my own personal truth and is guided to share that with the world in a heart-centered, grounded, compassionate way. I also have a podcast called Transcendent Leadership, which just relaunched a couple of weeks ago. And I do a lot of speaking. There's a lot of different hats that I wear, but fundamentally, I just want to raise the consciousness of humanity and guide us all back to our hearts and really support people in coming into full alignment with themselves so they can lead a prosperous life and guide other people to do the same.
Fire. Yo, she introduced herself and also answered my next question before I even got to ask it. So normally people introduce themselves with all the titles. She skipped right past it. And I would say, all right, take away all the successes, take away all the failures. Who are you and why are you here? And I think you just explained that perfectly.
Yeah, I'll dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah,
I think I think it's important. Would it be a good time to kind of go into a little bit of my backstory, actually?
You
I
know
feel
what?
like that.
This is all about you. Why don't you take the lead here?
You
All
know
right.
what though? I think true leaders know that it's really not about them, you know? So I think that's what makes a good leader is a student of life, is somebody who doesn't need the front seat, somebody who doesn't need the front of the show, somebody who's willing to raise other people up. That's what a leader is. A leader is not somebody who's just at the front. A leader is somebody who knows how to and is willing to elevate other people. So that's what it's really about. So thank you for seeing me, brother. I appreciate you. So yeah, you know, I said a little bit about who I am now, and in many ways, that's what self-leadership is about walking yourself to your most authentic self and truth. Like we live in a world where we think with personal development we're trying to become someone else, when I think personal development tools, spiritual development, leadership is fundamentally about removing things that you think you are to come back to the core essence of who you really are meant to be. And you could say it's God's will of who you are, who you were created to be, whatever you believe. So in this moment, I am one of the fullest expressions of myself that I've ever been, but I've always been this person. You know, growing up, I've always been this person, but my life didn't always look like this. You know, growing up, I grew up with a lot of mental health challenges, particularly around anxiety and depression and substance use. And through my own, you know, awakening process and mentorship with teachers and people, I stumbled into, or was actually led to study psychology. And so I have a master's degree in clinical psychology, and I got into the field selfishly. I was like, how do I heal me? How do I get more calm? How do I understand myself? I didn't get into this field to make money. I didn't get into this field to be a servant leader. You know, I just got into it because I was struggling. I was suffering immensely, and I was numbing, and I was in a whirlwind of chaos in my life and trauma. And, you know, little by little, through my pursuit of just taking it moment by moment and listening to God, I was led into this field, and then I got into coaching and have been doing this work now for 8 years. I think it's been almost 8.5 years I've been in the transformational field. So that's really exciting. But, you know, who I am at the core is I'm a very simple human. I love the simple things in life. And I think a lot of what I do is help people remember that your success is already written. And the struggle isn't necessary, and you don't need to sacrifice your integrity or your well-being or your happiness in order to have the impact that you desire to have into the world. And so every aspect of my journey has led me to prepare me to be this woman. I had a very successful multiple six-figure coaching consulting business, and I was working 60 hours a week, and I was so unwell, but on paper I had everything. I had the retreats, I had the penthouse, the Range Rover, all of it. And I had this awakening a couple of years ago where God spoke to me and said, like, you have everything and you're still not happy? Like, are you really ready to get to the core of what it means to be really happy and to what it really means to be who you're here to be? And so I sold my things. I went to an Airbnb. I was actually going to go nomadic, and I stopped taking on clients, and I took like a 5-month sabbatical just to deepen my relationship with my faith and with God, to get well, to really understand who I am without all these things, without all these titles, and without all the pressure of like trying to be someone. I am someone. We are all someone, without needing to position ourselves in this marketing space or whatever it is. We're all worthy. We all have a voice. We all have a message. It all matters. And so I had to get to the core of who I am, and I was dragged kicking and screaming the whole way, you know, my ego grappling onto, no, I'm this person. No, I'm this person. And when everything is stripped away, you find out who you fundamentally are. And so I was faced with confronting addiction. I was faced with confronting codependency. I was faced with confronting my desire to still prove myself and burn myself out. And trying to become someone I thought I needed to be in order to be valuable. And so in this moment, I just, I have a lot of cool accolades, and that's awesome. And when we're leaders, like, it's like, yeah, this is great, we win awards, it's all fun and dandy, but fundamentally I'm a human, and fundamentally I don't want to be on a pedestal, because then that means I can fall from it. So I just want to be another person, a guide to really show people what's possible when they really get to the core of what's getting in the way from their human potential. And in many ways it's trauma, in many ways it's faith, in many ways it's community. There's a lot of different aspects to this, but in this moment I'm just Carissa, and I'm just here to have a hopefully empowering conversation about what it means to lead yourself, and as a byproduct also have the privilege and the honor to lead other people.
Right? The privilege and the honor to lead other people. What most people think leadership is position, and that's it. And most people think that we get a certain position, or if and when we get the job, or if and when we do this or hit a certain amount, we'll be a person of influence or leadership, or we'll be in that certain role, or when I've been at the job for a certain amount of time. It's not until you go into your wilderness, right? And if you, and like you said, God told you, like, you got all this stuff and you're still not happy, I believe that God calls every leader of transformation into their own wilderness that they have to go through, right? Where they strip everything away and ask myself, who am I? What is my relationship here? One, with the Creator and who I am going to be, right? What is the intimidation factor? What am I scared of? What am I facing? What am I against, right? And then really think about, what are my inadequacies? What do I not trust myself with? Right? What can I give the Creator to lead me, so I can try to lead myself better? And I tell everyone that the most challenging person that I've ever had to lead or help or stand in front of was myself. Every single time. And then when we're able to get to those places, we're able to be exactly who we're supposed to be, one, on our leadership journey, but lead ourselves to exactly position and plan that God has for us. So I'm really, really grateful that you came here and you shared just a little bit of that backstory. I want to ask you, was there a pivotal moment, where you kind of looked up during that wilderness, where you were like, yo, this is what it is. And if I don't change this, I will not get past where I wanted or achieve the happiness. And what did that look like for you?
Yeah. There were so many moments. I think that one of the things that I often am really honest about with my journey was all of it. If you go to my social media, you're probably going to see a lot. My clients come to me and they're looking for the breakthrough. They're looking for the moment. They're looking for the clarity. And, in my experience of myself and in my experience with many other people, there may be that moment, but if you're really paying attention, there's many of those moments, and you might just have a breakthrough moment because you really weren't listening to all of the other moments. So God will really bring you to your knees, and that's the breakthrough, right? So there's many other moments as a precursor to that often. So there were many moments, and there were many moments that I listened. And I think that, let me tune into this, because this is a really important question. What was the thing that really, I think there's many, but I will say one of the main things that I knew that I had to confront within myself was my fear around being loved, and fear that if I wasn't successful, if I wasn't a high achiever, if I wasn't outdoing myself every month, because in the business coaching space, it was like multiple 5-figure months, hit this, hit that. If you're not hitting your net, if you're not outdoing your last month, it's like you're a failure. And so my drive, I'm very ambitious naturally, and that's just my nature. I'm a generator, I'm an Aries, like I have a lot of natural energetic tendencies. But I think that a lot of my driving force was from wounding around, if I'm not this person, then I won't be loved. And so I was driving my behavior by my desire to have people see me in a certain way. And it cost me relationships. I took a lot of risks financially that did not turn out well. It cost me my family in many ways. I was so focused on my career, everything else was meaningless. And I put it under the guise as I'm being a leader, I'm being of service, but it was from my ego. No, you want to be liked, you want to be loved, you want to feel significant, Carissa. I masked and saying, no, like, this is me serving, this is, and yeah, there's elements of that, but it was actually coming from my egoic nature of wanting to be significant. Wanting to be significant, because if I'm significant, then I will be loved, and if I am loved, then that means I am worthy, and if I am worthy, we could keep going down. So there were many moments. I can't think of one exact like light bulb or lightning bolt that struck me and was like, wow, there it is, but it was constantly peeling it back. And to be real with you, I'm still peeling that back. It's not that I've healed from it entirely. I confront that every single day. That's what leadership is it's a choice. And every single day I make that choice. And not every day do I make the choice that's in highest alignment. There are days where I might post something because I want to feel significant. I want to be seen. And that's human. That's why I'm here, because we're learning, right? We're constantly learning. If I was enlightened, I wouldn't be on this earth. I would, I'd be somewhere in the stars guiding other people, right? Whatever it is. So I think, there were many moments, but there was during that time when I took that 5 months off where I saw where I sourced my power. I had the penthouse. I had, like I said, I had the Range Rover. I had the multiple 5-figure cast months. I had sold out, I had it all. And so when I was stripped away of it, when I took space from it, I saw how little confidence I had in myself without those things. So I was like, oh, well, what's at the root of this? And it's like, oh, you feel better about yourself when you have a nice car. You don't, like, I love luxury and that's fine. I still have the car actually, but at the core of it was this desire to be significant. And I still am always coming back to knowing that I am enough, knowing that I'm worthy, regardless of what's in my bank account, regardless of how many people I'm helping, even if there's one person. And, in this space, sometimes it can be a slippery slope because we think that bigger is better and more means you're more worthy. And that's not necessarily true. So there's many moments, and there still are many moments, and there will continue to be many moments to peel back all of this.
Wow. I really hope you guys tuned in with like your notepad and your pen, right? Because there's just way too much transformation happening like right now for you not to pick up on any of this, because it's so similar. When we peel back all of the layers, it comes down to like, yo, what's that driving force? For me, it's validation. I get it. Like and I don't think there's anything wrong with significance. I pray to be of significance in God's plan, be effective, right? Just not in my will or my way. And that's where service gets confused in most people, is that people think they can just choose to go be of service. Like, I'm going to go sign up and go volunteer at the church. I'm going to go, go to the senior citizen, like think they can just sign up for service. It's only service when it's inconvenience. When it's inconvenient to you, that's when it's service. That's when you got to fix your heart. That's when you got to surrender your heart. That's when you got to open yourself up to what God has in store for you, what He set in front of you for you to manage and handle. That's when it's service. That's when somebody drops the ketchup in front of you and you're not the janitor and the janitor's nowhere near, and you grab the paper towels and you bend down and pick it up. That little bit of leadership, that's service. It's not, well, I did this and I volunteered these many hours. No, you carved out time out of your schedule on your own time to go volunteer for somebody you felt worthy enough to go apply your service to. And so a lot of people get service mixed up when it comes to service. We don't get to pick where we're of service at. Like you said at the beginning of this, it's based on that privilege and knowing that, like you said, significance, or for me, it's validation, knowing that driving factor is coming from source and creator. And I love what you said, I'm human, right? The divinity only takes human form in order to fulfill a purpose. So of course that's going to come with all the negative connotations of being human. But it's the fact that when we get out of our own way, embrace who we are, people talk about, oh, it's so bad that I crave validation. No, it's not. No, it's not. Every time I give a keynote, I tell you, I'm gonna need y'all to talk back to me. That's validation. I just know what I need and I know how to ask. right?
To ask for it. That's the thing, right? It's not an unconscious desire that's playing out. It's something you're aware of, and validation can be really beautiful. Being loved can be really beautiful, but you're aware of what you're doing, not that it's unconscious playing in the background and you're pretending and denying that it's there, right? The awareness around it is where the key distinction.
And it's like an iPhone charger. It's your charger, it's your energizer. That's all it is. It's your energizer. But if you don't ever take yourself off the battery, you'll never be able to go anywhere, right? So you gotta charge yourself up sometimes, and then sometimes you can maybe catch somebody with a little iPhone charger, you know, when you're running low on juice, and they'll get that to you. That's fun. That's the first time I ever said that, right? You done got me all fired up. Back to you. Hello. Talk to me about your 3 core values. What are your 3 core values that drive you every single day?
Yeah. One of the first ones is well-being.
Talk about that. What's that look like?
I spent the majority of my life being unregulated. This is a lot of the work that I do with clients. Is there's trauma that was caused during a child's upbringing that has caused a person to feel unsafe. Trauma, fundamentally, capital T or little t, is an overwhelming experience that somebody faces, and oftentimes they disassociate and they have a hard time being in their body. They feel very unsafe. And so my entire majority of my life, I was very unregulated. I always felt unsafe. There was a time when I had 6 figures cash just sitting in my bank account, and I felt so unsafe. And I didn't know, like, if somebody's going to take it from me, if I was going to spend it well. People think that money solves the problems. Money is great, and it can often help with what you're facing, but it's going to amplify the insecurity that's already there. And so, for me, well-being is a core value because I have achieved immense amounts of success, but I have sacrificed my wellness. I have burnt myself out. I have lost everything. Or not, I lost everything, but I had sacrificed many things in order to achieve it and create it. So for me, it feels like calm, presence, ease, surrender, trust, like all of that in a beautiful, like, soup. You could just drink it up. Like, I just flow in life. There's an intelligence that's guiding me. And so the well-being is just that I am being, right? I am allow myself to be, because, some of this, what I've done in my life was driven by doing, constantly trying to achieve. So well-being in and of itself is I am well while I'm being. And I'm truly just allowing myself to be it, because you could fight it. You could fight the beingness. You're like, oh, I shouldn't be being, I should be doing this. But while I am being, if I am well, and I trust that I'm supposed to be there in that exact moment, that type of surrender, that type of trust, that type of faith that you are exactly where you need to be, and you can rest. You can rest and you can recover and you can recalibrate. I need that in my life. I've gotten to a place in my life where I feel so much resistance when I'm asked to try to do something that is just not in alignment for me. And I can move through resistance, and there's blocks and all of that you want to move through and whatever. But when something's not in alignment for me because it's costing me my mental health, I'm not doing it. I don't care how much money is in the line. I'm not doing it.
Value, what I try to stress to people, my clients, is that build your business, build your life on values, and then reverse engineer your behaviors to align with those values, right? Because a lot of people will say we value something and then behave a certain way and actually value something else, because our behavior is actually our values on display. And so it's like, what is it that we actually, and if you say you value well-being and then you never find yourself in a place of well-being, you don't value well-being, right? It's something the best version of you would like to get to. So that's why that's so important. And I love the way that you broke that down, because you're like, this is what I value. These are the behaviors that demonstrate those values. And now I'm able to lead my life in alignment with my values. And now my decision-making is easier. My interaction's easier.
Exactly.
My pace is easier. My procedures and processes are easier. You know what I mean? Like,
preach. Yes. The decision-making process is so much easier when you know your values. When you don't know your values, you're like, is this the right thing? Should I make, it's like when your values, it's like, it's your guideposts, it's your pillars. You know, that is the thing that moves, that like shows you where to move.
Yes. I love it. What's the second one?
Second one is freedom.
Okay. What made you value freedom?
What made me value freedom? You know, I think that in some ways I've always valued freedom, but I never felt like it was actually possible. Like, what does freedom actually look like? And for me, there's many facets of it. Financial freedom, I desire that to be able to give back and be generous. But fundamentally, I want freedom of expression. I want to be able to say and do and create what my heart desires, what I desire. And I think one of the things that I've struggled with as being, or I've navigated, and I also help people navigate as being leaders, is authenticity. What does it mean to actually be free in the expression of who you are, right? There was a time when I was really deepening my relationship with God, and I had so much fear around coming out about my relationship with God. And it was like the most important thing. It's the thing that literally it's the relationship that has literally carried me through every single thing I've gone through. And yet I had fear about owning it and being like, oh, people are going to think I'm a Jesus freak or whatever. I really moved through that. I did, you know? And so the freedom for me is about when I feel like I can be me. Like if you think about, just for example, you go into a room where people that you know love you and accept you. It's like, I'm not in my mind. I'm in my body. I'm in my heart. I show up with love and compassion and grace. I'm present. I'm there. Everything else becomes a byproduct, right? When I feel like I can be me. If I'm walking in a room and I'm afraid of all these people and worried about what they think, I'm constantly modulating and trying to form an aspect of me to fit your model. So I'm in my mind. I'm not present. I'm not enjoying. I'm contracted. I'm not in my heart. So, you know, fundamentally, freedom, financial freedom certainly fits in that. But what's most important to me in this moment right now is the freedom to be me, exactly where I'm at. Like I showed up on a call a little bit ago. The woman asked me, she said, how are you feeling? And I was like, honestly, I'm feeling a little like I'm going through a transformation right now. And I think a lot of people are, but I was like, I didn't show up and I didn't say I was good. I was like, I'm going through some stuff. I'm going through some emotions. And I was just real with her. And it creates intimacy, right? We want intimacy in our life, and whether it be in our relationships or with our clients or whatever it is, but we're not being willing to be honest about who we are and where we're at. So it's like honesty creates trust, and trust creates intimacy. So if I'm not being honest, there's no trust here. Even with myself, if I'm not being honest with who I am, there's no real even intimacy with myself. So I've gotten to a place where feeling like I can be myself no matter who I'm in front of, no matter where I'm at. I show up in the same way with you that I do on stage, that I do with my clients, that I do with my partner. Sure, there might be subtle nuances of languaging and the more full expression here or there, but I'm me. I'm me wherever I'm at. And when I'm that presence, love, compassion, grace, all fall naturally because I'm just my natural, most innate self, my pure self. So of course I'm gonna be loving because that's who I am, period.
Yes, period. That's it, man. Wow, freedom. I think that would make anybody value freedom. Whoever just heard that, I think that would make anybody value. If it wasn't on your list, add it to your list. If you had 5 core values, now you have 6. Freedom, right? I love the way that you express that, because that would translate for me integrity. I'm going to show up the same way every single time. It is. I think I had the privilege of doing a leadership development class out in California, and I met a friend, a coworker that we only work with online out there, and she gave me a compliment. Jay, you seem the exact way you are across the Zoom computer. And I was like, of course I am, period. I'm showing up loving, like you said. And that is the most freeing thing, when you can be you and know who you are, blessed with what you have, the gifts that you have, and knowing what gifts you bear and where they're valued and where they're valued, right? That's the biggest thing. And I always tell my clients who are like, yeah, I want to help people. I don't know who I want to help. Well, I say, what are you naturally good at? And they're like, well, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. Well, your clients are those who have your gifts and don't know how to use them, or those who don't have your gifts and never will. And so you need to go offering your gifts. And when you lay down to that freedom of expression, it makes that fear of stepping into you less likely, because every leader has to face that. So I really appreciate you sharing that one and the depth and complexity behind the simple value of freedom, right? And how we get there. Third one, what's the third one?
Community.
Talk to me. What has community done for you?
You know, I had the lone wolf syndrome.
Yeah.
Where I was like, yeah, growing up, there was instilled in me that like my parents were divorced. So my dad was like, you got to be a strong woman. My mom modeled being a strong woman, and being a strong woman in many ways to them was being like, do it yourself, get it done. Don't rely on a man. Don't rely on whatever all the things were, the programming that happened. And I love that part. I love the part of me that's like, I need to hang something. I'm not going to hire a guy. I'm going to do it myself. But there's also the part of me that's like, why not? Why not rely on other people? You know, so a couple of years ago, I reached a breaking point. Again, similar to the same thing I've been talking about this whole time, where I had everything on paper, and many people who you would look at on paper like they've achieved it, they've done it, many celebrities, athletes, they have it all, and they are by themselves in their mansions, at their concerts, with their plaques, whatever it is, they are by themselves. And what is it worth if you are creating all of this thing to be by yourself with it? Part of the glory of all of it is sharing it, whether it be sharing the celebration, sharing the wealth, sharing the moment, sharing it all. And I had that. I was living in downtown San Diego in my penthouse apartment. I had all of these beautiful accolades that were happening in my life, and I was by myself. Because I didn't spend time nurturing friendships, so people didn't really want to be friends with me because I wasn't putting time and energy in, or the level of reciprocity that was needed. You know, so for me, it was this moment where I was like, I don't want to do this alone anymore. I'm sad. I'm alone. I'm isolated. And it's really challenging when you try to do it alone. And I go back to this example often where they say, you know, there's a saying that, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think it takes a village to raise anyone and to help anyone. You know, I have so many people in my life, whether that be family or friends or mentors, coaches. I have countless people, dozens of people who have showed up for me in ways that they were not obliged to, that they were not obligated to, that they did not need to, but they did because they love me. And I was not showing that same level of love and reciprocity in my relationships because, number one, I had this fear that I didn't know how. I was afraid of intimacy. I was afraid to let people actually into me to see what was actually there. I was afraid of that. And in other ways, I was just so hyper focused on my career and my significance and trying to be seen as someone that nothing else had felt importance. And so, you know, over the last year, I have had these moments where I have been praying to God to show me like where my blind spots, show me where my areas of growth. And in some ways, I've confronted the inevitable, which is death. And I think many people don't think about death. It's kind of a morbid thing, right? Like you don't want to think about it. But the truth of death actually makes loving easier, because I had a lot of resentment towards my parents and I pushed them away, and a lot of resentment towards my friends, feeling like, you know, whatever stories I created around them. But then I thought about for a moment, what would happen if my father died today? What would I be living with? And I would be living, I would be living with regret that I didn't show up more lovingly, more openly, more compassionately. And my parents have helped me so much from an emotional standpoint over the last couple of years and just believing in me. And so community is so important because it really gives us the opportunity. Relationships are where our unconscious wounds become conscious, is what Marianne Williams has said. I love her. She's one of my favorite authors. And so if we are living in our own little bubble, doing our own little thing, number one, we're alone and it's actually really depressing. And number two, we actually miss out on a real, true opportunity for growth, because our relationships are where we grow. Other people reflect back to us. They trigger patterns within us. Relating is one of the most accelerated paths to personal growth, where you see how you really show up in connection, and where you hide, where you play small, where you blame, where you project, where you doubt, where you catastrophize, where you whatever. And so doing the work that is required to love myself has given me more of an opportunity to show up in that way for other people. And the amount of peace and ease and support that I have been able to cultivate and receive in my community, as well as in my family and friends, has only amplified my effort to show up in service. I thought it would take away from, and it's only filled me more up in a way where I have so much overflow that I desire to give back so much more. So community is a non-negotiable. That is where I grow. That is where I allow myself to be held. That is where so much happens. And it also allows me to show up in service when it's not convenient. Sometimes when a friend calls and you're like, I really don't want to answer this right now, I have things to do. And you're like, no, what are your values? What are your values? And I go, community and love and all of this. And it's like, of course I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer in the middle of the night when you're calling me and you're struggling, because that's what love does. That's what God does. That's what my values drive me to do. So it's a non-negotiable for me to place intentional time and effort on cultivating that. Because I can say I want it, I can say it's a value, but am I actually building it? Am I creating it? Am I cultivating it in my life? So I'm constantly lovingly doing the work on that, because, being in community is not easy. It's just like being in family, and it involves family as well, right? Where it's like, we're blood. So no matter what we go through, we're going through it because I'm in it to win it with you. So there's a commitment to that, to see things through. And if things erode and you're like, actually the friendship's not aligned anymore, there's radical honesty that happens in that, where love is the most, truth is the most loving thing that you can do. People forget that, right? They think that like, oh, if I'm honest, that's going to erode this relationship. Well, if you feel like you need to have a conversation, not having it is actually eroding your trust with yourself. So truth is the most loving thing. And that can only happen in safe and sacred containers that you intentionally create and cultivate with people around you.
Wow. Talk about learning a lesson or two through community. Like I love what you said, that's where I grow. Like, that's where I grow. That's where the blind spots are exposed. You get that dope new car and you got the blind spot monitor. Well, that's community, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's
so true.
Yeah, and that's how I teach. I teach on exposing your strengths and your blind spots. That's it. That's all I focus on, right? And being able to self-assess that, but then also doing that in a social setting, in a communal setting, to cultivate an environment of trust and uplifting. There's something that you said about relationships, because you're like, what would I do if my dad died right now? Death, that's probably our number. You're right. Nobody likes to talk to me. I'm like, come on, I'm counting down to the day that I die, just because I know I got a timeline, right? I ain't gonna play with it. Like, it's short. I ain't gonna play with it, and a lot of people don't understand that many of our relationships begin by accident. That doesn't mean that we're obligated to stay there. It doesn't mean that we're obligated to be there. If that community doesn't uplift you, right? And all relationships end on purpose, whether that's either death or by choice. Mm-hmm. So we begin relationships by accident and they all end on purpose. We have a choice at any time to change our community and refuel where we get energized from. If that's something that you need, if you're listening to this, but wow, it's so powerful.
I want to say something too with that too, that I forgot that Spirit is reminding me to say, is that, from a psychological perspective, one of our inherent needs is to belong and to be in connection. And one of the leading causes of death is isolation and depression from that, right? Think about what happened in the world. Mental health, depression primarily skyrocketed during the pandemic. A leading cause of that, and research says, because of isolation. So there's a really profound psychological effect that happens when we are alone. And when you think about ancestrally, where our ancestors were, they were in tribes, they were in community, they were doing things together. Everybody had a job and a responsibility to come together, to thrive together. You know, these parents were not taking care of their children alone. They were relying on each other. They were supporting each other. And so I think in some ways we're kind of going back to this ancient wisdom, this tribal way of being, of really thriving in communities and realizing it's an inherent part of a happy and healthy life.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It's so good. And I love that you mentioned, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. You mentioned that saying, and, you know, and Spirit just yelled at me was like, thank you, Holy Ghost, that the reason it takes a village to raise everyone is because the child never outgrows the village. The child might grow up, but the child don't outgrow the village. Like home is where the heart is. And so the reason it takes a village to raise a child, and that we still need community, and we thrive and just, I want to say long, this God-sized hole for belonging in people around us is because we don't outgrow our home, and that's our village and our community. Whether those people may look different or the spirits transferred or different, they may look a little different, but we still need that. I love it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for adding that. I'm so happy that Spirit is leading this conversation.
Yeah, 100%, always. Let's wrap this up. Lightning round. Some fun questions. Keep it nice and light. If your childhood had a smell, what would it be?
Pickles.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one. That one's good. I like that. Why pickles?
That's what I ate growing up. I love pickles. There's just something about a pickle. It's like the crunch, the vinegar. I love pickles. I probably go through a jar of pickles like every couple of days. So my childhood would smell like pickles because I was just eating a lot of pickles. You know, that's just what it is. You asked the lightning bolt. Whatever came to mind, that's what I answered.
I love it. What is this chapter of your life called in your book?
Reborn.
Oh, I like it. What is the main principle that you think Reborn is going to teach you?
What is the main principle that Reborn is going to teach me and show me? The inevitability of death and life cycles, and to surrender to the inherent nature that is life, where things are constantly dying and being reborn.
Yo, that is so beautiful. I have a saying that I'm like led to share with you. If you're listening to this, let go of the fear of losing something and let go of the hope of something lasting forever, and really just drop into this moment and really, really, really appreciate and be grateful for those things around you.
Impermanence.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Gosh, I love that. If you had to describe the most beautiful thing in the entire planet and the entire world and the entire universe, if you just had to describe it, but you couldn't tell us what it is, how would you describe it?
How do I answer this? If I had to describe the most beautiful thing in the world, but I couldn't describe the actual thing?
But you couldn't tell us what the actual thing was. You would just have to describe it.
Oh, okay. I'm nervous now. Velvety.
Okay.
Opening. Am I just supposed to give you where it's colorful? It's colorful. It's a colorful, velvety thing that only opens when the timing is right. And the sun nourishes it, and it grows, and it also dies. There's beautiful impermanence involved in it. And it holds a very sweet fragrance that often elicits just the most euphoric feeling. Do you know what it is?
No.
Oh my God. Can I tell you, or are we playing the game where we just leave them on a cliffhanger?
That's it. That's it.
Okay, I won't tell them.
That's it. Just leave them on a cliffhanger. I want people to take that and go try and find that.
Okay.
Just go try and find that, and I love that question because it gives people that freedom of expression. You know, what is the most beautiful thing in the world? You just can't tell me what it is. You know, and then like how would you describe that? And I want people to go spend a day searching for that. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10 they're going to see God. But
I almost just said God, and then I was just like, I was just gonna say God, but then I was like, but God isn't everything, and I actually got a vision of something to say, so I was like, we're gonna roll with it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, last question. If you had to restart and do it all again tomorrow, what would you do differently?
I would allow myself to just play more, have more fun in the process. Like, even how can I enjoy the craziness of, like, you know, moments of scarcity where I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to figure this out. Just being like, isn't that the fun? Isn't that the fun part of not knowing and the adventure and the possibility? So I would allow myself to just be more playful, bring in joy in everything, bring in God more. And with that is trust, you know, trusting that the path is unfolding perfectly.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, your truth, your values, just your leadership journey. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get some more of this just amazing content. Just please, shameless plug.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You are a great interviewer, and it's really fun and light, right? There's depth here, but there's also a lot of playfulness and wisdom. So I've really enjoyed this interview and this conversation, and my prayer is that this reaches exactly who it needs to reach at the moment it needs to reach them. And I trust that will happen. So thank you. And people they can find me at Carissa Johnsen on Instagram, on Facebook. The place that I'm really wanting to invite people into more is to the podcast. Transcendent Leadership. Would love for you to listen. Let me know if you like it, you love it, rate and review it. And yeah, that's where I hang out.
I love it. I love it. You guys check her out. She's doing amazing things. And this has just been a blessing to just have a spirit-led conversation between two leaders who are just focusing on growing themselves, being better in the world, and seeing where they can be effective. So thank you guys. Until next time, yeah, we'll catch you.